a twist.
What's up, humans? This is Katie Rose, straight up with a twist. How you guys doing today? So who out there is dealing with digital stress? Because I cannot take it anymore. I literally have to write off my entire phone every year for my taxes, which it's already like coming up in my brain. I'm like, here we go, February, April, it's all coming up right around the corner. And some people still haven't paid their taxes, but saving passwords, I have like an app for that, but it's like continuous. I'm having to do this all the time. And then also literally being forced to download apps for your job. Like, I don't understand why I have to do this all of the time. But now it's like a requirement. Like, you have to have a smartphone to exist in this world anymore. So digital stress has been something. I've got like 8,000 videos and photos that I have to sift through, even just on my computer. And it takes so much time. Not to mention, who has old VHS tapes? I mean, I'm sitting here, I have the equipment to transfer it, but you have to transfer that stuff in real time. And who has the time to sit there and watch thousands of old VHS tapes? It's just going to take forever, but it is on the list of things. Maybe I'll do that over the holiday season when I give myself a little bit of time. But today we are going to be talking about friendship. Now, there's so many different, ways to go about that. There's the good, the bads, the uglies. We've all been through friendship breakups, which sometimes are worse than relationship breakups. I feel like we can get over relationship breakups much quicker than we can friendship breakups. It's like when you commit yourself and you trust a friend like that, you can get really heartbroken over it, and sometimes you never get over it. Even my mother has a friend that she still talks about from when she was a child, and she's like, "Oh, I miss her so much." And I'm like, "Why don't you guys just reach out to each other?" Like, back in the day, you had the excuse of like, we moved and then we lost, each other's address and phone number. But like now with the technology that we have, you should be able to find those people. And I decided to bring on a friend who also wanted to discuss her personal feelings and experiences with friendship. So today I have with me Virginia Roebuck. Hi, Virginia.
Hi, Katie. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for joining the podcast. I've had a few guests so far. It's been really fun. I really enjoyed just actually having somebody else to talk to. And since we're talking about friendship, this is going to be a really fun time.
Yeah.
But I know it can be, very heartbreaking at times too. So first of all, what do you feel a friendship should be? Because I think people have different meanings of what a friendship is.
Sure. So I think I'll start. I was going to touch on this later, but I think the best thing to do is to touch on the word friend first. Have you ever looked up the meaning of friend? Like in the like the origins of the word friend?
I have, but it's been a minute. You want to
Yeah.
educate
So
me?
yeah, it's Germanic. The origins are Germanic, and literally the root of the word means to love. That's it.
Ah,
There's
love.
nothing else within that root of that word. It's to love. And so in my experience with friendship, when I look at my friendships over, the course of my lifetime so far, I think about those friendships that truly are rooted in the word friend, to love. And then there are those that maybe weren't really friendships. You think they are in the moment, but they were just maybe other people who saw something in you. They wanted something from you. And because of whatever happened in their lives, however they grew up or whatever, they don't know how to love. And so therefore, this is why we deal with, awful friendships, awful friend breakups, things like that.
Yeah, you're just a part of their, their journey. It's like you just meet
Yeah.
people along the way, and sometimes it's not necessarily bad. People just kind of grow apart.
That part, it's not necessarily bad. It's not that people, I generally don't like that people are innately bad, but something somewhere along the line, something went very wrong. They were traumatized by someone else, and then they never healed from that trauma, and the cycle continues. My core group of friends, the people that I like to call my tribe, are people that, I mean, some of these relationships are 20 years old, and these are people that I can count on them sometimes even more than my family. And it's not to say that my family isn't great, because they are. It's just that these people know me at my core. These people know me so well, sometimes things that I wouldn't even tell my family members. It's just that they've taken the time. It's not an obligation, right? Like sometimes with family, it it can almost feel like an obligation. Oh, I love them because they're my family member, because I have to.
Yeah, or there's even like when you're a little girl and you're going through like, your first period or something, like sometimes like for me, I grew up with two brothers, so like talking to my mom about that, I was like
Oh,
embarrassed to
yeah.
tell my mother. So sometimes there's
Yeah.
certain topics that you're like, I don't want to tell my mom about my first kiss or like whatever. And like you can be uncomfortable in a way, especially like there's also an age gap with like your parents. So like you're trying to
Yeah.
find people that are around the same age as you going through the same experiences.
Yeah, people that are like-minded. And yeah, you're right, Katie, to your point. Like, yeah, you just don't have the comfort level there. So, like a mother and daughter, for instance, maybe they could be friends later on in life, but in that moment, when the gap is so, huge in that moment, maturity level and everything, you're not going to feel comfortable going to your mom. Some girls do now, and that's great. But really, generally, you want to find other like-minded people. And sometimes that means that you find like-minded people who don't do anything to help you grow. You are so like-minded that they don't point out the things that maybe you should not be doing. They don't call you out on the things that are not helping you grow. They don't call you out on, for instance,
So you're saying you like to be called out.
I like to be called out. I want somebody who's honest. I want somebody who's honest. In my, I'll be 100% honest. I've had two marriages, two divorces. And so the running joke right now, and it's not a joke, it's real for me with my friend group, is why didn't I let you guys pick out my mates? You guys know me better than I know me. So in the future, I should allow you to pick out my people. It's not to say that they didn't try to intervene, but they knew me. I wasn't listening.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't listening when they were like, well,
So did you want them
maybe
to try
not.
harder, maybe? Or what do you?
Yes, but I've made
Okay.
that clear now. But now I've made that clear. That's just open and honest communication in relationships in general. But again, I go back to friendship because I really feel like friendships is the basis for any of that. Friendship is the basis for your romantic relationships. It's really how, yeah, right? I know you know that.
Yep.
You know
Married my
that. You
best
could
friend.
probably, yeah. Yeah, and isn't it the best because you have such open communication? Like if I never find another romantic relationship in my lifetime, I am content with my circle of friends because they give me everything that I need to help me to not just support me, but to allow me to grow and to evolve and to shine, like just really uplift and support me as a human. And I do that for them in turn as well.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Yeah, I
it's
think life experience is what matures you. So even though you may have gone through what you've been through, that whole thing is just going to set you up for a better future.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think it's sad. And the reason I wanted to talk about friendships in general is because of social media, you get to see a lot of stuff. You get to see a lot, especially me. I am a sucker for scrolling through TikTok all day long. But it's just too easy. They make it so easy.
And then
But
some
I
guy
feel
shows up and he's like, "Hey, you've been on TikTok for too long. You should take a break."
just like I'm like, mind your business, and I keep scrolling.
Perfect.
Oh, but a lot of people do talk about, my friend did this and she said this mean thing to me and he said, I'm like, that is not your friend. Like, why would you think that that's a friend?
Yeah.
A friend would never, even with me wanting full honesty, that doesn't mean that my friends are going to come to me being vicious and ugly and hateful. They're going to come to me in love. And again, we go back to the word love because that's what it is. That's what it means to be a friend. It means to love. And I define love. I love even though I'm not religious, I'm not super biblical, but I love the definition of love in the Bible. I love the way that it is phrased out. Love is patient. Love is kind. It is not self-serving. It does not boast. When I go back to that definition for love, I feel like if I approach each relationship that way, I'm content that I gave the person every good thing that I could possibly give them, no matter how that relationship turns out, whether it's friendship, romantic relationship, familial relationships, I'm content.
Yeah.
So,
I think some people in friendships, I think a lot of issues come, and this could just be how they're raised, but I find my strongest relationships are with people that if they have overstepped or they do something wrong, they come to me and they say, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have done that. There are so many people in this world that really struggle with apologies. They don't literally know how to say, I'm sorry. And for me, I love apologizing. It's like it releases me of everything. It lets me know that a person understands that I'm also a human and that we all, can falter and mess up. And I feel like a lot of the friendships that I used to think were close, and I've definitely learned about the phrase, keep your enemies closer, because I didn't know that people were doing this to me a very long time ago. But, people really, they don't know how to say it. And then you just lose the trust in that relationship. And they don't even realize that that's all they would have had to have done is say, hey, I'm sorry. I acknowledge that, regardless of what happened, like this hurt your feelings as well as it hurt mine. And let's openly talk about it, and you start losing the trust. And I wish more people could apologize.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I don't want to move away from the topic of friendship, but I think that comes down to, like you said, how people were raised. If your parents weren't comfortable apologizing to you when they made mistakes, like how do you learn how to apologize as a child? That's something that I put into my parenting, was like making sure I apologized to my children when I believed I was incorrect, or gave them the opportunity to be like, you're welcome to talk to me if you think something is wrong, and then if I wasn't wrong, I'm gonna correct them. Be open to correction. But yeah, I agree with you, like not being able to apologize. I recently I think I'm in a friend breakup.
Oh, it's the worst.
It's a little, yeah, I think I'm in a friend breakup because I did lose the trust, and it it wasn't anything that happened directly to me. I was just in the room when an outburst happened, and with the outburst came all these things, and I realized that this was in my core group of friends. I realized that this person that had the outburst did not really feel about us the way that they said they felt about us. Like all these other things came up, and I was like, wait, you're not who I thought you were.
So that's how you really feel.
That's how you really feel. And so then when I was like, okay, maybe I did not hear this correctly. Maybe because I was triggered in the moment as well. I've been through some stuff. So in the moment that the outburst happened, immediate tears.
Reactive.
Immediate. Yeah. I'm just like, I got to get out of here. I don't feel safe. I got to go. So I tried to talk to this person a couple days after, and no apology. There was an apology of like, I'm sorry you felt that way, but not, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, putting it on you and not taking responsibility for their actions and their part.
Yeah.
And you can't control, what others do or say. It's really only how you react to things. And as long as you know that like you've done everything in your power to like communicate your feelings and say, I do care about this friendship, this love, this bond that we've had. A lot of times some people hide their true feelings, and then that can be very confusing to the friend who's like, wait, like how you said, you're like, this isn't the person that I thought I knew. What has changed, and what am I missing here? Now, as you know, I'm a very open and honest person, and I lost a over 10-year friendship, and it still bothers me, but I'm better now because I know there's nothing else I could have done. And I literally listened to what this person was telling me, which a lot of people don't listen to what people are asking you to do. And this person basically told me that all they cared about was their family, money, and a job. And they didn't have time for me, basically. And and that, and I was going through my personal like IVF journey, and all I wanted was support. I just wanted my friend to be there. And this was during the pandemic, and we both handled the pandemic very differently. I know that there are political beliefs that are very different, within family, and that could have had something to play with it. But it's like I kept trying to communicate to this person, and they just never gave me the time. And I was devastated. And when I said, I just want you to be there for me, their answer was, I don't know what's wrong with you. we should be able to talk once a year and you should be okay with that. All my other friends are okay with that. And then I just realized, oh, we have a different understanding of what our friendship is. I thought we were closer than that. I thought we were literally like sisters, which you used to call me, and that we would check up on each other and we would be there for each other. I didn't know that there was this once a year thing, and for me, it just completely broke my heart. And so, when she told me that that's how she utilizes her friendships, I listened. And you know what? I still never even got anything for once a year. So I'm like, well, I guess that's it. And plus, you have to protect your heart too. And
absolutely,
I had to listen to what she was telling me. And I'm like, if this is how you do things, then I need to protect my heart because it's hurting me. And I can't just keep trying and trying and trying and it be one-sided.
Yeah. Well, that's not the relationship that you wanted, right? Like for you, friendship means, being involved and being able to lean on someone when you need support. I understand if we don't talk to each other maybe a year, that's fine. I've had that happen with even with these friends that I've had for over 20 years.
Yeah, and you pick up where you left off, but that's like an understanding.
That's an understanding. But if I were to call and say, I need you right now, and if I haven't talked to them in 2 years, let's say it's been a text, we're, missing each other, like phone tag, whatever. And if I call and say, I need you right now, my phone would be ringing like off the hook. Where are you? What do you need? If they can't get to me immediately, they're going to send someone else. Like I think that was definitely, it sounds like they weren't truly maybe they don't know how to be a friend. If that's what they said, maybe they don't know how to be a friend.
Yeah. And, like I said, like there could be personal relationship and, and family things. But here's the thing. Through those personal and family and relationship things, I have been there for them. The last time that I saw her, she literally told me, you have always been such a great friend. You've always been there for me. And she like listed off all of these like big things that happened in her life and how I was there for her. And I just kept thinking, that's so one-sided, because you're right. I am there for you, but you haven't been there for me. And I'm trying to get this from you, and it's just not happening, So, it happens, and people change, and I don't have any like hatred, like at all. I'm just sad that we couldn't continue it. I'm like, oh, wow. Well, I look at it for what it was. And then, now I'm kind of like on this mission to being open-minded and like finding new friendships, in my older age. And it's kind of exciting me to like find new people and new groups of people. And like, I just started working at this new job, and I met this other girl, and I was like, oh my God, we have so much fun together. And it kind of, it excited me,
Yeah, I'm like that too right now. And I'm usually introverted. I can be a bit of an extrovert when I have to be, when I'm around, in social situations. I push myself, but I'm generally introverted. So I'm with you. Like over the last year, I've connected with people, met some new people that I'm really finding, like just recently was just hanging out with a new friend that I'm making. And I'm like, I really enjoy this person. So it's nice to like make these connections as an adult. And just knowing that as an adult, like you can still make friends. Like it's never too late to make a new friend. Like people are everywhere. The human experience is so like on your, I don't know if people know, but on your questionnaire, when you were asking what's unique or interesting about you, I almost wrote, I have zero idea, because I feel like everyone, the human experience is so relatable. Like what is unique about us? I don't know. I feel like we're all so interconnected that I can say, oh, I deal with this every morning. And there are going to be 50 people who say, I have no idea what she's talking about. But then there are going to be 100 people who say, oh my gosh, me too. So it's, I think that's why we can make friends. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think your quote too, well, first you were saying like, be careful what you wish for, but no one can make you feel inferior without your consent. And that's kind of the same lines of like, there's no sense in stressing about what other people do in life, because you can't control what other people do. And that is what will truly set you free, is just being like, okay, well, whatever. I must be that interesting that they have to talk about me.
Yeah. And I didn't learn that until, recently, really. I mean, if I'm honest with myself, I didn't learn that until the last few years of my life where I'm like, wait, I have zero control over how these people feel about me. Why am I giving this so much attention? Why am I placing so much energy, time, and attention to this when I could be over here with people that celebrate me, not just tolerate me? What am I doing? So that's where I am in my life. I am with the group of people that celebrate me, not just tolerate me. They make time for me because they want to, and they know my busy schedule. If I've already, within these last couple of weeks, I've been so busy, I get the text, hello, when are you showing up? What's going on? We know you're busy, but you can say hello. And this is because I've told them, like, if you let me go, as an introvert, if you let me go into my cave, I will not come out.
And then that's what you mean about your friends being honest with you. You've got to have those extroverted friends that are like, what's up, girl? We are definitely hanging out and I'm forcing you to have fun with us. And
exactly.
And that's great. It's like that balance of those different types of friendships. Have you ever had somebody who maybe was a part of a group of people, and you find out maybe a week later, maybe 6 months later, maybe a year later, that like some people were talking about you and your friend was present, but they didn't stand up for you? Like they allowed the trash talk.
Yes.
That is a bad feeling. And I don't know what to do about that, because usually the answer that I'll get, I'm like, why didn't you tell me about this sooner? And they're like, I didn't want to get involved, is their answer.
Yeah. I will say this. It's never happened to me with my core group, my tribe. That's never happened to me.
Shouldn't happen.
Yeah, because no one would ever dare say anything about me to them.
Right.
They already know. Like, it's a known thing. Like,
know your audience.
No. Right. Exactly. But it has happened to me. And it's usually with, I hate to put it like this, like they don't mean anything, but my coworker relationships, and maybe because of the industry that we're in, as performers, like that kind of stuff can happen. And I have approached, why didn't you tell me so and so? And it was, I honestly I thought you would get very upset. And so that's when I've said, next time, if you don't feel comfortable saying something to that person, just let me know immediately.
Right.
Let me know. I'm not expecting you to say, hey,
I would like for you. You can protect yourself.
I would love it if you did, but you can just say, I'm not going to talk about that, or just walk away and then just let me know, because hearing about it after the fact makes me feel like you were in the conversation, tagging onto it, adding onto it, and when I don't expect you to defend me, there's nothing for you to defend. I am who I am, and I'm not going to sit here and defend myself if it,
Yeah, but if you're a part of it, that's just as bad.
Yeah,
just
exactly.
Being a part of the talk. And I wish people would take more, responsibility with those things, because I feel bad that I can't defend myself. I've actually had somebody message me and say, I know this, somebody said this, blah, blah, blah about you. And then I say, wait, who was it? But then they won't tell me who it is.
Yeah.
So then I'm like, wait a minute. So you're protecting the person who's talking crap about me, but you just wanted to tell me that somebody's talking crap about me, but you're not going to tell me who it is so that I can approach this person. I'm like, what on earth? Then what is the point of this gossip? What is the point? Because
that's wild.
This is not going to further, I can't protect myself at that point. So it's like, it's a waste of time. Like I would rather just go up to that person and be like, hey, can we like square this off and figure this out? So it bothers me if anybody does that. And then I question their friendship to me, because I'm like, what's your mission here? just to make me feel bad.
And I have had people defend me and then immediately tell me, hey, so-and-so was talking about you. And the first thing that I said was, that's not who she is. And so, and then they were able to change the conversation, because, rumors fly around and whatever, like you said, why didn't you say, like, why were you involved in this conversation? Why are you telling me now? And then why won't you tell me who it was? But
I love my defenders, people that actually stand up for you and defend you. I'm like, you rock, because that shows us a certain confidence about that person and who they are too. They're not worried about themselves, that
Yeah.
they know themselves enough that they're like, this isn't going to affect me. In fact, it should make the person talking shit look bad.
Yeah. And it does every single time. Right? If you think about that, like if I were to sit here and talk some nonsense about someone and someone else is like, that's not who they are, and I just continue, I'm a POS. I'm the POS
Yep.
for continuing to talk bad about somebody when someone else who clearly knows them better. And it's not like we don't all fall prey to gossip. Like, come on. We
Yeah, of
we
course
all
it's
do it.
interesting.
Yeah, we all do it. But at some point you have to check yourself and be like, that's none of my business. And I don't
Mm-hmm.
actually know that person and I wasn't there. If you weren't there, if you didn't see it, and if you weren't in the conversation, you don't know the truth.
This is
You don't
why
know.
I always go to the horse's mouth, always. And I have a thing where if I'm talking about something and it is related to me, because that's what I do. I like to stop gossip in its tracks. So I'm like,
Yeah.
rather than letting other people talk about me, I'm going to talk about myself. This is my personal experience. This is actually what happened. This is my situation, and this is why I'm going to talk about it. It's when people try to guess, and then that's how
Yeah.
rumors get spread. I'm like,
Yeah.
there's no point in that. Like,
No.
just stop that. And I think people are
Eh,
afraid to ask. But it's funny. I have such an open personality. People have invited themselves to my wedding. People ask me who I've slept with, and
Oh my God.
I'm like, I would know. I had a girl one time come up to me at the gym at work when Universal Studios, and she's like, "Is it true that you slept with so and so?" And I'm like, "Who are you? Who are you? Like, this is
Who are you?
not
And why is it your business?
business." And like, I'm so open too. I just started telling people the truth because I was tired of people
Yeah.
trying to guess. I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah, I did, and I'm a grown ass woman, and I can do whatever
Yeah.
I want.
Yeah. I'm starting to live there now. Where before I was like, I mean, I'm still pretty private, but I feel like I'm in my era now of like, oh, so are you going to do that? Yeah, I am.
Yep.
Because you stop people in their tracks when you confront them with the truth. Like I've noticed, like the minute, yeah, and
Yeah, I can make my own choices. Thanks. What does this have to do with your life?
what is it
Bye.
exactly? How does it affect you? Because it doesn't.
Now, the positives about friendship is exactly what you were saying is when you have your tribe and you have your people that are always there for you. That's what it is for me, I guess. I don't have a lot of family. So,
Mm-hmm.
I think that's where if people have 8 million family members, maybe that's more of their focus, but I don't have a big family. And actually most of them are dying off even still. And it's just small. And so I kind of depend on my friends to be there for me. And when I don't receive the same amount of energy or understanding, it hurts my feelings. And
Yeah.
I literally had a friend tell me there was something wrong with me because I cared so much. I was like,
No.
that's a weird statement.
No. You no. No. I don't like that statement. There's something wrong with you because you care too much. No. There's
Yep.
something wrong with you because you think that her caring too much is a problem. You're the problem, not
Yeah.
the person who cares too much. The person who's judging the person for caring too much is actually the problem. And
And
you
the
need some therapy.
and the thing is, it's not like I was overbearing or anything. It's like I was very patient with this friend, just like waiting patiently, like, oh, maybe something, they got some personal stuff going on, and I'm just gonna be
Mhm.
patient, and I'll just every now and then I'll write or call or whatever. And just still I wasn't getting the attention or the time,
Yeah.
basically. But
Yeah. I think that for anybody who's maybe thinking about, I don't have a lot of friends, maybe I want more friends, or in this friend group, be honest. Like, why don't we go to the store or we go out to dinner and we order our food exactly the way that we want it? Order your friends up like that. What I mean, like, be fully honest, communicate. I don't like this. I don't like that. This is what I need, and this is what I want. It's okay to need things. I've told my friend group, I need time alone from time to time. If I say I'm not coming out today, that's not the time to push.
mm-hmm.
Like, it's okay. And then, or I need you to pull me out from time to time. Like, be okay with being yourself. And I think then it really boils down to being your own best friend. Not like, oh, I can hang out with myself all day, but get to know yourself. Truly get to know yourself. Be your own best friend. so
Yeah,
that
because I
you,
think people force friendships. You can't force a friendship. And if somebody, a lot of people look on social media and they will, think, oh, I need 1,000 friends. I have to be friends with this group of people. And you don't have to. And quite often, like when I hang out with my friends, we'll go out and we don't even post any photos because we're that close. We don't need to be like, oh, look at me and all my friends. And it doesn't even cross our minds because we're having a good time. And as you
yeah.
know, social media can be one of those things that it doesn't always appear to be what it actually is.
Exactly. I love seeing those posts of like Instagram versus reality, because that's the truth. The truth of it is my core people, my tribe of people, they're rarely on my social media unless we actually say, "Hey, let's take a picture." Like we recently took a vacation. We were like, "Can we actually take a photo of all of us together?" So that we can put them in these, we had these frames that we were given, one of our friends had given us for Christmas, one of the tribe members. We're like, we'd like to replace that photo annually, so like, let's actually take a photo. But everything, if you were to look at my social media right now, most of the people on there are people that, yes, I call friends, but not people that I have know the intimate details of my life,
Yeah.
know me to my core. I love them and cherish them, and but they're not my tribe. So yes,
Yeah.
what you see on social media, it, it's not reality. It's people don't have 500 friends. They have 500 acquaintances,
Yeah.
but not 500 friends.
And your cocktail of the day is the Gravedigger. Ingredients are 1.5 ounces of Tres Agaves Reposado tequila, zero point 0.5 ounces of mezcal, 0.75 ounces of sherry, zero point 0.5 ounces of pear liqueur. You stir all the ingredients and strain over a large ice cube, garnished with a lemon twist and edible flower. Enjoy.
I had an ex that, again, this is me and how I view this person. They're not here to defend themselves, but how I viewed this person to be is that they were wanting to be in a relationship with me, most, basically out of clout chasing. Not that I have clout, but they viewed me as a person who has all this clout, and they wanted to be near that. Even after we broke up, they were still trying to attach themselves to me in some way, shape, or form,
Yeah,
so that
because
they
they
could,
felt like they needed you to like maybe catapult their career or just
yeah,
take some of that juju from you that's your
yeah,
juju. You earned
it's
that. They didn't,
mine.
that person didn't earn that.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
yeah, and
kind of a narcissistic behavior.
it 100% is, and that's a whole other podcast,
Oh,
Katie,
it is,
because
girl. I already got my people I'm
OMG,
interviewing for that. Oh, I know.
girl, let me tell you, woo, the stuff I went through. But anyway,
Oh, I get it. I get it. But like the thing that they always say, if you can count 5 friends on your hands, you're a lucky person. I have
yeah,
I have one friend I've had since ninth grade, and when you can feel comfortable around a person and you don't have to wear makeup, you can show up at their house, you don't have
yeah,
to try to look fancy. Like that's what I want out of friendships. I want to be able to be around somebody and feel like it doesn't matter what I look like, or even if I say something out of turn, I want them to know
mm-hmm.
my heart. I want them to
Yeah,
know that like Katie's just going through this. What she really means is this, but she's having a bad day. I want someone to know my heart enough that I don't
yeah.
have to filter myself,
It's a safe space. They should be your safe space.
yeah, and that's another reason I really like Marco Polo. And I don't know if you use Marco Polo, but you see people in real time and you don't feel like you're bothering anybody because everyone's got kids and family and stuff like that. So if
Yeah,
you use Marco Polo, it's like they get to it when they can and they're giving you their time when they can rather than
when they can.
like, yeah, because sometimes people really can't pick up the phone. And so that's
Yeah,
something, and then you see their facial expressions, you see how they
yeah.
react.
That's true. And I haven't used Marco Polo in years, but now that you reminded me of it, I'm probably going to get the tribe onto it again, because you're right. It is something different to see someone's face and have someone, be able to be like, "Oh my gosh, you look so good. Where you going? Whatever, like, girl,
Oh, I
whatever."
like
Like
your
it's,
friends. They compliment you a lot. That's really nice.
I
You
mean,
look great, girl.
sometimes that thank you, nice girl. But you know what I mean? Like it's, yeah, it's nice. But to that point, like someone to that doesn't judge you. That's so true. I was I was in a situation where I was judging myself. And so I kind of just put it out to the tribe. I was like, this is what's happening. And without judgment, with like I instantly thought judgment was going to come my way because I was judging myself. And instead what they did was how do you feel? Like versus you shouldn't be doing that or this isn't wrong. They asked me how I felt.
Yep.
That's completely different. You
That,
know, like being met with how do you feel really makes you go, I don't feel great about what I'm doing. And so then you for yourself, you know, they're a great sounding board. You for yourself decide maybe I shouldn't be doing this anymore versus these people are judging me. I can't tell them anything.
and that's why
Right.
I always keep saying like be curious, not cocky, because I think when
Ooh.
you ask questions, that's when you get closer to people.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it is having that no judgment and it's listening. A lot of friends don't know how to listen. And
Yeah.
sometimes, and you've been there, you just want to vent. Like you could probably give yourself the best advice in the world, but sometimes you just want to vent it out.
Yeah.
And if you want advice, you're going to ask for it. But I appreciate you. Typically, if I'm reaching out to somebody, I do want some form of advice. But what
Yeah.
I don't like is when somebody dismisses your feelings.
Yeah.
When somebody makes excuses for other people and they're like, oh, well, maybe it's just because of this. And I was like, do you know that? Or are you guessing that? Because all I want you to do is hear me out and my perspective,
Yeah.
and you don't feel judged. You feel like they're truly listening to you and they understand where you're coming from.
Yeah. And if they're truly listening to you, then they can actually get to the root of the problem, right? Because maybe we as a person were like, this is going on, blah, 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 blah. And the root of the problem is something completely different than what we think it is because we're so in it. You
That's
know,
true.
yeah.
You
Yeah.
gotta you
And
gotta
so,
really
yeah,
trust your friends to give you that outside perspective.
yeah,
And I
yeah.
think that can be helpful.
Yeah, it truly, I think it really can be helpful. I mean, I say it all the time. I am ridiculously blessed with my tribe of people that I really can, Katie, like bring them a situation like vent, vent, vent. And they look at me and go, that's not the actual problem. And many times I've been like struck with the truth and have had to sit down and breathe it in because they
They
saw it.
injected you with that truth serum.
Yeah. Yeah.
There
Yeah.
it is. Yeah,
There it
I
is.
actually, and I said this earlier, I don't think an apology is too late either. I don't think it's ever
Yeah.
too late. It could be 5, 10, 15 years. I just had somebody recently that took me out. We worked on a cruise ship together. My cast treated me terribly. It was my
Oh,
first contract. And I think they were all kind of like veterans, like smoking the cigar, like, oh, I've done
oh,
this,
great.
you know. And I was just all excited and green and new and, whatever, but I was treated poorly. And this person, it's been over 10 years, is like, I live in Orlando now. I'd love to take you out to dinner and chat with you. And she paid for all my stuff and was just like, I'm really sorry. There's no excuse for the way I treated you. I can't speak for other people, but I just wanted to let you know I'm sorry. And I'm like, wow, like that is progress. That is maturity. That is like, and now I'm like, great. Like I can forgive. There's still people in this town that I wish would still do that. And maybe they're
Yeah.
afraid. I think people are afraid of what someone's going to say. But I think it actually, it takes down that veil. I think it actually relaxes you when you know somebody's approaching you with an apology. I think people fear it, but I think it's actually a good thing. It's disarming.
Yeah. I never really thought about it being as a fear, but I totally see that. Like, how will they think even less of me, even though I've done this horrible thing? If I apologize, because I then have to admit I did this horrible thing, will they think less of me because of that? Yeah, that's interesting. I never really thought about that as being a fear, but I think you're right. I think
Yeah,
you're absolutely right about
people,
that.
I really do think fear and apology, and I think it's great, and I think it really shows growth and maturity when you are able to do that. So have you ever been in a situation where you knew that you were the one in the friendship that did wrong, and how did you handle that?
Um, I definitely knew that I was in the wrong. I'm not an immediate apologizer, and I think it has to do with the way that I just process things. Like I I I process. I will replay conversations, and it's almost like if I could put you inside my brain, it's almost like watching a film from every single different angle. And then
Mm.
once I've seen all the angles, I can go, well, it was me.
Ooh, I like your mind palace. And I actually just said this on my podcast a few weeks ago. I said the reason I like movies is because they always show different perspectives. You
Yeah.
can you can do
Yeah.
that in film. You can jump around.
Yeah. And I think it's also why I can sometimes, people are like, "Oh, you just never take a side." I'm like, "That's because I can see all the sides and my side is I you are right and you are right, but we got to find a middle because
Because ultimately,
all
what do you want? Do you want to just
what
break
do
up
you
the
want?"
friendship or do you want to keep
Right.
this going? What is your
Right.
end what's your end goal here?
Right. Right. Exactly. I don't think I've ever done anything though that none of my friendships have ever been like I've done something where it's like the friendship is over. Our friendships that I have had in the past that ended needed to end. And it was because I was not strong enough to not allow these people to how I had this one particular friend. This was when I was still late teens into my early 20s, who was just always so competitive. And I would just not
Ooh,
listen to
jealousy and
my
envy
gut.
will ruin it.
Man. So, and I would just ignore my gut check every time.
That's
And
because you were kind. Because you were
yes,
kind and you were
I was
trying
way too
to give the
kind
benefit of the doubt.
every single time. And I think there are people out there who take advantage of people who are kind like that. There are definitely people out there who can somehow like just they sense it and it's like that's the type of person I need to be around because they're always going to be nice to me.
Yep.
And for
Been
whatever
there.
reason, again, these aren't horrible people. Whatever their life experience was before we met them have caused them to be this way. And so, yeah, I have never had a situation where I've done something that has caused a relationship to end, but I've definitely have done things where I've had to be the one to go back and apologize. But it does take me some time. I'm not an immediate, like, I don't get it right away. I have to process the situation.
And
Yeah.
that's okay. We're all built different. I think that's always been the hard part for me is understanding that my brain is not like everybody else's brain.
Yeah.
And you're right. Everybody is really different emotionally, physically, mentally, what their like upbringing was like. All of those factors, come into play when we have these expectations. I mean,
Yeah.
I know people who were bullied allegedly in school, and they still think that they are victims, but they're actually now the bullies.
Mm-hmm.
And I've had old friendships of people who were never held accountable for their actions towards me. I've had people literally completely fabricate stories about me. And
Wow.
I'm like sitting at home on my couch, like
Mm-hmm.
watching TV, just chilling. And then all of a sudden, someone's like, "Hey, did you hear this about yourself?" And I was like, "No, what?" It's like a tabloid. It's like a
Yeah.
local tabloid. And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And when I bring it up, um, they ignore me. I've approached this person and written them, and they've instead of responding, they blocked me, and because they can't face their own lies,
Wow.
and it's affected my jobs too. It's affected my
Really?
Yep, in the past, it's affected my hiring, just people literally fabricating, making things up about me, or like you said, getting involved in my personal life, which you have no place in being. And I really do believe that people's personal lives and their work lives need to be separate.
Yeah.
Granted, I married somebody I worked with. That's a little bit
Well,
of
you can
a
you can
different
find
thing.
your people. Yeah, you can find your people, but I agree. Sometimes your coworkers are not your friends.
You have to be a special kind of, and I actually feel bad for people who do this. I have turned it around spiritually to be like, so for example, somebody broke into my house 6 or 7 years ago, and I got really upset, and I looked around my house. First of all, it's an invasion of your
Violated.
privacy,
Yeah.
and I was sad. And then I just said, there's something that I just taught myself a long time ago, like don't cry over spilt milk,
Yeah.
whatever. I used to get so upset if something would break because I'm sentimental. And
Yeah.
so I used to get so upset over it. And then I just literally was like, it's okay. This person must have needed it more than I did.
Yeah.
And I don't know how, but there's this like, that's the one thing about me that I can get perspective and be like, okay. And so when people do something wrong to you, I'm like, I feel more like there must be something that they're going through, and there must be something wrong with them to feel like they need to bring somebody else down to lift themselves up so much. And
Yeah.
so I have to do my mind tricks in my head and be like, that was never a friendship to begin with in my brain. If you're willing to hurt somebody that badly and just trash them and make up stuff about them, they were never your friend to begin with, and you are better off. You have to try to tell yourself you can't miss this friendship because it wasn't ever real. That person was
Right.
always having this secret crap in their back pocket that they were planting. And this is some spy shit right here. This is something I've noticed that people do. And this is why I now put up my walls when I'm
Mm-hmm.
getting to know people. People will quietly plant ideas in people's heads.
Oh,
And this is
yeah.
what people do in the workplace, but they'll just say something under their breath and they'll get it into somebody else's head because they want you to believe this certain thing about this person. And they say it quietly, or they'll do that thing where they're like, no, I shouldn't tell you. No, no, I shouldn't tell you. And then of
Oh,
course,
yeah.
people get curious and they're like, oh, what is it? What is it? So then they tell you this false narrative. And then because they're being secret about it and they didn't really want to tell you about it, that stranger or friend or coworker starts thinking, oh, that's got to be true if he didn't really want to tell me about it. So then
Yeah.
they'll never approach the actual person for the truth. They're never going to do that because that person also knows it's not their business. But now you put these negative and bad thoughts into these other people's heads who might not otherwise know me or know this other person. And it's unfair because that person never gets a chance to show you who they are because now they have this preconceived idea of who you are based off
Yeah.
somebody else's bullshit gossip to bring you down.
Yeah.
And that does come with people being jealous and envious and
Mm-hmm.
because what other reason do they do that unless and this has been a hard thing for me to grasp because I'm a very humble person and that's how my mom raised me to be. Like this whole like now we have to talk about our careers is like new to me and like I'm supposed to
Yeah.
brag about myself now and it's like hard for me to do that, but try to use their own judgment rather than being poisoned with somebody else's.
Yeah. I think it's up to the person who's either whether they've chosen to listen to the information, like if they didn't know what this person was about to say and then they started talking about this other person and they're giving them this false narrative, it's up to the person receiving information to stop it because that's the person that feeds it. That's the person that fuels it. If this person is constantly getting attention because that's what the person is seeking, right? They're seeking attention. They're seeking to be better than other people by putting other people down, by not listening, by not entertaining it. That's where you stop it. Man, you're really making me think about that friend though, that from my early teens, 20s, that competitive friend, because twice in my life, this is when I knew things needed to end. She had told me a story about one of another friend. And then she was telling me some stuff about this other friend because her and I, we'll call her Sam.
Okay,
Sam and
Sam.
I had relationships, had a friendship for like maybe 10 years at that point, and I trusted her. So she and these other two people were people that we both met at the same time, and we were kind of getting to know them. She's telling me these stories. I'm believing it because why wouldn't I? A year passes, and one girl, we'll call her Lisa, starts telling me this story. And I've heard this story before from Sam, but it sounds a little different.
Oh,
And I'm going, what? The minute she finished that story, I almost started crying. My
oh.
mind blew. And she said, what's wrong? I said, that's not how that story was told to me. And I'm going to tell you exactly how that's when my friendship with Sam started ending.
It's like this
And
rush that
then,
comes over you. Like the realization is like, what?
yeah. So then I realized that everything she was saying about the other person was also not true. We confronted her after that. Oh, I didn't, then the tears or whatever. But she
Because they've
wanted
been
to make
caught.
they've been caught. She wanted to make these two new people look bad so that I wouldn't like them more than her. Isn't that sad?
Yeah, because she was trying to keep you. She was trying to keep you.
And she lost me in the process.
Yeah.
If she could go that far, She
Yeah.
lost me. I mean, along with other things. That was the last straw. Don't get me wrong. But
Yeah, when I was little, there was this little girl, friendships are weird. Like we were in dance class, and so like, people get cast in the same things and people are the same height, so then they click to each other. And I just remember this one girl was mad that her best friend got really close with another girl in dance class.
Mhm.
And so she came up to me and was like, well, your best friend is hanging out with my best friend now. So let's do, and she just said, like, let's do revenge.
Oh,
And I was like 2.5 years older, 3 years older than her. And I just looked at her like, girl, what you talking about? Like,
right.
I don't play these games. I was like, she could be friends with whoever she wants to be friends with. I was like, because I don't think my friendship is going to be any less stronger. I'm not worried about losing my friend because I know what our friendship is. If
Yes.
you're worried about that, then maybe you're not being a real friend. I'm
Katie, you
not
know what love
competing.
is. You know what love is. Do you know what? That's my favorite. That's that part of the love. Love is not possession. Love is not possession. They're not mine to control. I've been chosen by them and I'm grateful.
You could gain a friend too. It's like the more
You
the
could gain
merrier.
a friend. Yes. Exactly. Like, yeah, that was so beautiful. That honestly, even just at that young age, they could be friends with whoever. Like, that's beautiful to me. Cause yeah, love is not possession.
Like I open up my heart a lot. Like I'm the opposite of you. I'm more of an extrovert.
Uh-huh.
And I love to learn. I like to learn people. Like if I had gone to college, I would have gone to school for psychology.
Okay.
I find it interesting. I find humans, like you said, are different and interesting. And I like to ask people real questions. Like, when we would work together, we'd be in like
Yeah.
the back area. We would have
Yeah.
like real talk. And like, I know there's a couple days you came in not feeling so good, and I sensed it, and I was like, "Girl, what's going on?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, you did. You got
how
it
are
out of
you
me
doing
too
today?"
because yeah, that back corner was lethal for me because I'm like, oh, these are the not that gosh, this is gonna make me sound awful. It's not like anybody else in that room was not real because there were some very real things happening in that room. There's something about that back row that you guys would get me because me as a very private person, but I would come in, it'd either be you or Zoraida. You guys would get me all the time. What's wrong, girl? And I'd be like, gosh darn it, now I have to spill the beans.
You can't hide back here. You cannot
I really
hide.
cannot hide.
Oh, I did love the back row. But I do like those kinds of friendships. Like I remember one time one of those girls came into work. I literally looked at her. I was like, "You got in a fight with your husband, didn't you?" And she's like, "How did you know that?" I was like, "I can tell." I
Oh
was like,
my gosh.
"I can tell." I was like, "You fought with your husband today, didn't you?" I was like, that's the stuff though. It's being honest and listening. It's those are the two things for me. And
Yeah.
then being open hearted, which is really hard to be open hearted when you have been burned. But that's all we want as humans. We want love. That's what we want, whether it comes from, a friendship, a husband, a lover, whatever. That's what we're all seeking is for that closeness and for that realness. And that is why those things biblically are like, just be and be honest and open. I think it's hard sometimes because I do feel some people in life have received a shorter end of the stick, and
Mm-hmm.
it's not to any fault of theirs, but life is all in how you handle it.
Yeah.
And I think that's the best thing that you can do. I met a blind man the other day who lost his sight to diabetes 15 years ago, and he was like, yeah, I got upset about it for about 2 days. And he goes, and then I was like, I have a wife, I have a family, I've got great friendships, I've got everything to be happy about. And I was like, dang. I was
Two
like,
days, I would have been, I thought you were going to say 2 years. I would have had a pity party for myself for
yep.
2 years.
And I was like, you know what, man, that just gave me some like hope and perspective. And I was like, dang, and that's what you have to do. You got to pick yourself up. It's not easy. I'm not saying it's easy, especially
No,
in
it's
this
not
world that we
easy.
live in.
But back to that point, you're right. It just goes back to that saying, like, you never know what someone is going through. So when someone does hurt you, sometimes it's not about you. And so you have to pick yourself up and keep it moving because you don't know what they're going through. But it also doesn't mean that you have to handle that. You're allowed to care and then get up and keep walking. Like,
and if they come back, that's
not,
great.
yeah,
And then you
not
get to
everyone is
choose.
meant for you. Yeah, not everyone's meant for you. You're not meant to be in every season. Some people are for seasons. Some seasons are longer than others. Sometimes it's for lifetimes, but not everything is meant for everyone at all times. Like we really have to learn to let go of some things.
Do you have, okay, so my last episode was about can you hang out with ex-boyfriends and is it okay and blah, blah, blah. So if you haven't listened to that, you have to go back and listen to it. But
Okay.
can you, without somebody being gay, can you be friends with a guy? Do you feel it's a when Harry met Sally and it's impossible and it's like someone's always going to like the other person more? Do you feel it's possible to have a friendship with another male who is not gay?
My 20-year friendship is a guy who is married to a woman. That's my oldest friendship. So yes.
And I think 20 years is a pretty long time. So that means you
Yeah.
pretty much grew up with this person.
I mean, almost. I met him in my 20s, so he was late there because he's a little older than me. So I met him in my 20s, and when I met him, they weren't married, but they were a couple. So I met them together, but I got to know him first.
Gotcha.
So yeah, and actually, this is something that we talk about a lot. Is we should be able to have those friendships. Like if I were to walk into their house, I mean, I'm going to respect privacy and things like that.
Yeah.
But if I were to walk into their house and he's by himself, and if for some reason he just happened to be in his underwear because I just decided to walk in, no one in our friend group is going to think, oh no, something's up.
Right.
No, that's not, because they know that. They know that nothing's up. They know, oh, Virginia just walked in. I'll be like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Go check or whatever. And this is part of the something that came up in topic of conversation in our friend group is like for those of us that are still single and are trying to bring new people in, they have to accept this friend group as these are my people.
This is how it is.
And you can't be jealous of them. And if you are, then you can't be part of this.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm not choosing someone I just met over people that have had my back for 20 years. That's not happening.
Yeah. And even like in the show Friends, it's like, Joey and Rachel, they try it for like a second, but then like they realize their friendship's actually too strong and that them as lovers, it just doesn't work. And I think that can happen too, is people people assume, well, like how my relationship is like, oh, the foundation of friendship first is the greatest, but that doesn't always transfer into a loving, intimate relationship as well. So I think it's good as long as you have trust and everybody kind of understands that, and like you and him know nothing's ever going to happen, then everybody else should know nothing's ever going to happen.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's tough to be able to hang out with an ex because the feelings don't always go away. But I think sometimes the cool thing about hanging out with an ex is if it kind of ended oddly or somebody didn't have closure, like years later, you could like meet up to be like, how's it going? And then like find out kind of why it didn't work before. Like you kind of get closure like 10 years later.
Yeah. For the most part, because of the way that I am in relationships, I give so much of myself and I love hard. But when it's over, it's over. And I don't have feelings for you. But almost I so disconnect. But it's bad because two of my exes, I'm like, I literally don't care if you exist. Like it's really bad. Like
it's your way of moving on. It's your way of coping. Yeah.
But there's one that I could not do that with. And I finally had to embrace that I will love this person forever. And it's okay to just love them, but not be with, like, I will always love you. You're not for me. We are not for each other, but I will always love you. And there's nothing I can do about my feelings, but I want this person to succeed. Like, I want to see this person live their absolute best life.
And if you really did love a person, you want to see the best for them as well. Yeah. And it's really hard to just not somebody that you really, like you're saying, like you really love this person. It's like that's what I'm saying is like, how could you just completely be like, nope, not allowed to ever care about this person ever again,
right?
And I think you have to know yourself too and understand intentions, and you have to be smart and not put yourself in situations that you could falter. But as long as everybody is on the same page with that and you've established like, what these rules are, then it's kosher. It can be kosher. I think it can be, but I think it's smart for people who know themselves. Like if they know that they might make a mistake, then they know to stay away.
That part, know who you are and know your boundaries. If you know, I cannot be alone in this room with this person, then don't put yourself in that situation.
Now, on a personal note, I cannot believe that you started your career in your 30s.
Yeah.
Now, what on earth, well, I say career, I say entertainment career. What
Yeah,
what
entertainment career.
what did you do before your 30s? I'm so confused. I didn't actually know this fact about you.
I was a stay-at-home mom. So I grew up in a very small town, and in my mind, you got married in, in your 20s and started popping out babies. And so that's what I did. But I it is something I always wanted to be. I always wanted to be a mother. That is like that was my number one dream for as young as I can remember. That was dream number one. I always did enjoy singing and all that, but I never really thought that that was something I could do. I never, I really had this like ceiling for myself as far as dreams and goals. I don't know where that came from. That's digging that I still have to do. But I
Mhm.
really had this cap and this ceiling on myself for like what I could achieve. So I was just doing some research and I pulled up, Festival, Lion King, whatever. It was Disney. No, actually, it was an open call. And I was like, let me just go. Yeah, what could it hurt? And I landed Festival Lion King.
That's
That's wild.
crazy. That's like one of
Isn't
the
that wild?
best first job. That's like a big job.
I was so spoiled. I
You're like, oh, is that all it takes? Check me out.
because that well, I honestly I didn't know. I didn't know that this is how naive and how so not in the industry I was. So I got to Lion King and I'm doing my thing and it was like a year later we were talking about audition stories and this one girl was talking about how she auditioned 5 times and I'm people have similar stories 5 times, 4 times, whatever. And I'm like, wait, so none of y'all just walked in and like got the job basically?
Not like me? What?
What? And so, but that's honestly, it just solidified in me something that I already knew. And this happens to me in all my life. The timing of everything is crucial. And what's for you is for you. And you can really you can look at something and be like, that's mine. But if it's not the timing, it's not yours right now. It's not yours. It's not meant to be yours right now. Sit back, relax. If you really know that that something is supposed to be yours, it will be. So just chill.
I got Nemo on my first try.
There you go.
And I got to tell you, I think there's something about being green and just going in there, without any preconceived anything. And you're just like,
Yeah.
I know I can sing the song really well. I'm just going to sing it.
I didn't even know what Festival of the Lion King was. I had never seen the show.
I mean,
Not
you
a
are
clue.
perfect for that role. So,
Yeah.
I think it just was like the perfect storm for you. It was like,
it was
this girl's what
timing.
we always imagined.
Just,
yeah.
Yeah. When it was just, I mean, because why at that time would I be looking up things for someone else and just like see this open call and be like, oh, maybe I'll give it a shot too. And it was really for me, it was more like my marriage was on the ending side of things. We had already separated and I'm like, let me give it a go. It was one of those things that I needed to do for myself because it was something he never really was fully about, like he wasn't okay with it. So man, changed my life.
What did you sing? What was your audition song?
And I am telling you, from
Whatever,
Dreamgirls.
whatever. That's like a beast of a song.
It's a
What?
beast of a song. Whenever I think back on that, I was like, what was I thinking? When I tell you, I knew nothing. I knew nothing.
That's the best. I sang Someone Like You from Jekyll and Hyde. That's
Oh,
not even like it has nothing to do with Nemo. I don't know. I don't know what. I just was like, I know I can sing this well, so I'm going to sing it. Like, I don't know. And I guess I connected and acted it well or whatever.
Yeah.
And that was okay. So I grew up in dance. I didn't do musical theater like most of my friends. So I wasn't familiar, honestly, with musical theater songs. I knew songs from Annie. I knew Honey Bun from South Pacific. I didn't know like real musical theater songs. So this was the first musical theater song I taught myself. So for me, it's been hard for me. And it's actually been a wonderful journey learning musical theater because it's made me a better actor.
Yes.
Especially because you work at Lion King and you work with the African band, people must assume you come from African American descent. So have you ever had anybody, once you've told them that you're Spanish, has anyone ever given you crap for that? Or have you
They haven't given me
like
crap. Nobody has ever been giving me crap. They've always just been shocked because it's usually because you
do look like you have African American descent mixed in there.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you've done your genealogy, but
well,
ancestry.
The reality is that I am African. I'm Afro Latina because of the way that we're all anyone who is African American or Black American, Black Hispanics, we're the same. We have African descent because of the way that the ships traveled. These slaves were dropped off, yes, here in what we now know as the States, but they went to the Caribbean. So we have African descent. My DNA would be made up of African, African Taino, which is the natives of the Caribbean islands. So
Yes.
Taino, Puerto Rican Tainos. And then specifically the Roebuck is British. So that's where the European ancestry comes in. I feel like as humans, like we're more alike than we are different. We
Yeah.
are so much more alike than we are different. We are all connected, especially now with the melting pot that not just the USA has become, but the world.
Virginia, thank you so much for
Yeah.
coming today on Katie Rose Straight Up with a Twist. Is there anything that you would like to plug? Are you in any shows coming up? Is there any platforms you want to plug today?
So you can always follow me on social media. I have a TikTok, which I'm trying to be better about TikTok, but you
It's
can find me on
exhausting.
TikTok and it's a lot. I
It's
tried to do
work,
some like cute little transition videos and I'm like, this took a long time,
right?
but you can find me on there. I am Virginia Roe, the same on Instagram. I am Virginia Roe. And I like to post stuff there about, upcoming events. I'm at the Edison usually about 9 or 10 times a month, the Edison at Disney Springs in the
I
evenings.
love that place. Yeah, we've got a lot of good talent over there.
Yeah, I love singing there. It's so much fun. So you can find me there. I'm still with the African band from time to time.
Is that at Animal
Fingers.
Kingdom or where is that?
No. So the African band right now is only at Disney Springs. However, or for private events. And then Viva Gaia, which is another band that is in Animal Kingdom. That's the one across from Flame Tree Barbecue. I'm usually there on the weekends. They love Saturdays from me. So
Thank you so much for your time. It's been fun hanging out. And this has been Katie Rose, served straight up with a twist.